So you could say that this phenomenon of anti-Asian hatred is something that's embedded in American society. It's an American phenomenon, but there's also another phenomenon that we have to look at is in terms of the solidarity movements that have been built over the years. My name is Harvey Dong. I'm a second-generation Chinese American, and I teach in the Asian American and Asian Diaspora Studies program, which is under the Ethnic Studies Department here at UC Berkeley.
My name is Eunice Kwan. I'm the director of the Asian Pacific American Student Development Office, also called AAPI on campus. In our office, we focus on community development and improving campus climate for Asian American, Pacific Islander, and SWANA, which stands for South Asian, Southwest Asian, North African students on campus. So we do that by offering various internship and leadership development programs, and through making sure that AAPI SWANA student voices are uplifted, are getting engagement in campus decision-making processes and campus conversations. Staff, we also provide consultations to administrators about different things they put out. For example, I help craft the Chancellor's Statement. And we also create community-specific programming and services for specific populations under this large umbrella.
My name is Cynthia Che. I go by Sin, she and her, and I'm the co-executive director of Chinese for Affirmative Action. And we're a community-based organization based here in San Francisco, but we work on statewide issues and issues of national significance. And we are one of the co-founders of Stop AAPI Hate. And Stop AAPI Hate is the leading tracker of COVID-related anti-Asian racism and xenophobia in the country. And we formed because we were concerned of the news accounts and social media posts of Asian Americans being attacked, verbally assaulted and harassed. And so we wanted to track and understand what was happening and who it was happening, where, so that we could develop responses that could really address this rise in anti-Asian racism.
This has been a really challenging year for everyone. I think that in thinking about Asian American students in particular, we are also seeing not just through engagement with one-on-one students, but also in campus data that Asian Americans are experiencing anxiety and stress at higher levels because of the increasing xenophobia and scrutiny around their racial identities in public spaces because of COVID.
The agenda of the previous administration was actually to deflect attention from its irresponsible behavior with regards to the pandemic, and using highly charged racist terminology such as the Kung flu or the China virus. Related to that is that the U.S. is in conflict with China at this time, and instead of engaging in dialogue has been focused on confrontation, and that definitely has been one of the big underlying issues. There's also little understanding of Asian American history in this country, and whenever there is an Asian country in which the United States is in conflict with, Asian Americans eventually suffer from some type of fallout. One example of this is during World War II, Japan was the enemy. Japanese Americans become interned in concentration camps. During 9/11, right after 9/11, South Asians and Muslims suffer from hate violence. And then with the pandemic, Asian Americans have become violent targets.
Since we started tracking anti-Asian racism through Stop AAPI Hate, we started in March of last year. And through the end of December, we can say that there have been over 3,000 incidents of hate 2,800 just coming from our side alone, but there have been other groups that have been tracking as well. And so we coordinated to say that, last year when we started tracking, it's roughly over 3,000.
I'm somewhat shocked at the racism that Asian Americans have been suffering, especially in terms of elderly who have become Asian American elderly who have become targets as they're going about their daily activities. There's new responsibilities today and the need for more solidarity. In previous days, much of the solidarity was kept within the community, although now there's definitely a need for more connecting with other communities that are suffering and are in need. You can't fight hatred with hatred. You fight hatred with solidarity, something I learned from the Black Panther Party. There's stories of young people today involved in community escorting, protecting seniors, community-based organizations involved in rallies to stop hate.
This is all also happening in this greater context of this national reckoning of how our country is founded upon, white supremacy and racism. And, we saw the protests and activism happening around the Black Lives Matter movement earlier in the pandemic. I mention all of that because I think the most important step really is to effectively address racism is we need to understand what causes racial violence and what is at the root of it. And so people and students, especially, this is a moment to really take the time to think about how in their lives as they go off after college, how they are going to participate in dismantling white supremacy culture, which is at the foundation of our society, and it's going to impact whatever field you go into.
The other thing is there's been so much focus on interpersonal attacks, like these videos. They're so traumatizing and so shocking, but we also have to look at what's happening in terms of anti-immigrant policies. The fact that there has been an attempt to keep families separated, to criminalize and deport Southeast Asian community members, the unique needs of Pacific Islanders. We are a very diverse community, and we need to be paying attention to the ways that we're being painted and being profiled and being blamed. And that's not obviously happening just to our community, but it's happening to others as well. And so the more that we can connect the dots, the more that we can point to the fact that we're being pitted against each other, the less that that structural racism and the status quo can continue. We need to all work towards dismantling this system.
I'm also an elderly person, but because of the fact that there's so many young people that are active in trying to deal with this issue, I feel extremely heartened by it. Yeah.